Now, on immigration, our association views immigration reform as, frankly, an economic imperative that we think is critical for the continued well-being of our economy. So the question is, how do you propose that we harness the power of immigrants for our economy to continue to be the most competitive economy in the world?
Good. Excellent question. For a start, I think economically and morally, it is unacceptable that we have millions of workers who are living in the shadows. And by the way, I'm also the son of an immigrant. My dad came from Poland at the age of 17.
I heard.
Without any money at all. Here's a story. I was just in Louisiana, New Orleans, just on Sunday, actually. At the end of my remarks, a group of young Latino kids came up to me. Beautiful young lady, maybe 16, 17, tears in her eyes, saying that she is scared to death every day that she or a member of her family will be deported. Okay. So you have the moral issue of 11 million people in this country who are undocumented. Some of my Republican colleagues apparently think that the solution is, I guess, in the middle of the night, throw them out of the country. I mean, I think that anyone is thinking about those kinds of ideas is ugly beyond belief. Clearly, what we have got to do is provide comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. Now, that is not only the right thing to do for those people in this country, but to your point, economically, it is the right thing to do. When people, workers who are undocumented, have no rights, when they're not getting the benefits and the taxes that they're paying, it impacts the whole economy to the tune of many, many, many billions of dollars. And let us also be clear on 2 points. Maybe you agree with me on this one, maybe you don't. The first point is, I'm sure you do agree with me, if suddenly every undocumented worker in this country disappeared, the economy would collapse, especially in agriculture.
Absolutely.
We all know that, all right? No great secret, it would collapse. And in many other areas, construction. The second area is, people talk about illegal immigrants. Well, there's such a thing as illegal employers as well. People do not come over the border and get jobs without the full expectation that their employer understands exactly what's going on, will pay them under the table, and in fact exploit them. And I find it very interesting that many of my law and order friends, politicians, ignore that simple reality. So to your point, the economy becomes stronger when people have legal status, when people do not have to worry about being picked up and deported, where families are separated. The economy becomes stronger when people are part of our workforce, earning decent wages, spending money, holding their heads up high. So I believe as quickly as possible that we should provide legal status to undocumented workers. I think our policy should be to bring families together, not separate them. I applaud President Obama's actions, executive actions. I think we probably want to go further. We certainly, in the long run, need to demand that the Republicans in Congress stop turning their backs on this issue and pass comprehensive immigration reform. Well, there's the very significant difference in scope of what the recent bill does compared to what that bill does. My concern about the bill that I voted against has to do with exactly what Javier and I discussed a few moments ago. And that is that there was too much emphasis on bringing low-wage workers into this country, okay? What I want to see and what is better about the recent bill is, number one, that there is a path toward citizenship, which is absolutely essential. And second of all, that I was able to get a fairly significant amount of money into providing jobs for young people in this country. And that is the difference between, among other things, those two pieces of legislation. Well, you've got to be careful about defining the word immigrants. What they are talking about is completely opening up the border. That was the question. Should we have a completely open border so that anybody can come into the United States of America? If that were to happen, which I strongly disagree with, there is no question in my mind that that would substantially lower wages in this country. When you have 36% of Hispanic kids in this country who can't find jobs, and you bring a lot of unskilled workers into this country, what do you think happens to that 36% of kids who are today unemployed, 51% of African American kids? I don't think there's any candidate for president, none, who thinks that we should open up the borders and not see that as having a negative impact. So to my mind is, what do we do and how do we address the problem of 11 million undocumented people in this country today? We move aggressively toward a path toward citizenship. We move as fast as we can to legal status. We provide protection for those people. But to simply open the borders of America, do you think there is any candidate for president who thinks that that makes sense? I don't think so. Nor do I. Do I think that illegal immigration should be restricted? No, I don't. No. The question that I was asked is essentially an open borders. And I certainly do not agree with it. My father was an immigrant. Immigrants have built this country. Javier's dad was an immigrant? Yeah. That is one of the virtues of America, that we have people coming from all over the world with their own particular set of skills and ideas. That is what makes America a unique country on earth, something that we should be very, very proud of. But there is a great difference in saying that we welcome immigrants, that we're going to provide a path towards citizenship for those people and those families that are in this country today, than saying, oh, we're not going to have any borders at all.
I think we agree on one more thing, that immigrants make America more American.
They do. That is a huge part of what makes this country great.
Donald Trump is also creating quite a lot of commotion on the other side. He's a friend of yours, has been over the years. He donated to your Senate campaign, to the Clinton Foundation. What's your reaction to his recent comments that some Mexican immigrants are rapists and criminals?
I'm very disappointed in those comments, and I feel very bad and very disappointed with him and with the Republican Party for not responding immediately and saying enough, stop it. But they are all in the same general area on immigration. They don't want to provide a path to citizenship. They range across a spectrum of being either grudgingly welcome or hostile toward immigrants. And I'm going to talk about comprehensive immigration reform. I'm going to talk about all of the good, law-abiding, productive members of the immigrant community that I personally know, that I've met over the course of my life, that I would like to see have a path to citizenship.
But what about Jeb Bush's approach to that? It's different, certainly, than Donald Trump's.
Well, he doesn't believe in a path to citizenship. If he did at one time, he no longer does. And so pretty much they're, as I said, they're on a spectrum of hostility, which I think is really regrettable in a nation of immigrants like ours, all the way to kind of grudging acceptance but refusal to go with a pathway to citizenship. I think that's a mistake. I think that we know we're not going to deport 11 or 12 million people. We shouldn't be breaking up families. We shouldn't be stopping people from having the opportunity to be fully integrated legally within our country. It's good for us. It's good economically. It's good for the taxes that will be legally collected. It's good for the children so that they can go as far as their hard work and talent will take them. So I am 100% behind comprehensive immigration reform that includes a path to citizenship. Well, what should be done is any city should listen to the Department of Homeland Security, which, as I understand it, urged them to deport this man again after he got out of prison another time. Here's a case where we've deported. He ends back up in our country, and I think the city made a mistake. The city made a mistake not to deport someone that the federal government strongly felt should be deported. So I have absolutely no support for a city that ignores the strong evidence that should be acted on. However, there are, like, if it were the first-time traffic citation, if it were something minor, a misdemeanor, that's entirely different. This man had already been deported 5 times, and he should have been deported at the request of the federal government.
I want to hear about your immigration ideas, how to make that pathway. I've been in the States for 18 years as a student, as a worker. I got my green card a year and a half ago, right? So it takes a really long time and a lot of work and a lot of money.
I support comprehensive immigration reform with a path to citizenship, not some other status. And, you know, I have supported that for a long time. I supported the efforts that Senator Ted Kennedy made when I was in the Senate to try to bring about immigration reform. I supported the Dreamers. I supported a lot of the efforts to try to have a more rational, sensible immigration policy. And I was very encouraged when in 2010, before the midterm election, the Senate passed a bipartisan comprehensive immigration reform package, and then the House would not bring it up for a vote, which I think was a real missed opportunity. So I'm ready to defend that position and advocate for it, because we are not, and we should not even think about deporting 11, 12 million people living and working here. That is wrong, and it's and it is not something that the United States would ever do, even though some people advocate for it. They know better, but they think it gets them, you know, votes or attention. I think, secondly, there is no doubt in my mind that our labor market would be fairer to everybody, including non-immigrant Americans, if we had comprehensive immigration reform, because you would have people who would no longer be exploitable. I mean, you know, in town halls and other meetings, I've had people say, you know, my cousin was working construction and then he lost his job to immigrants, and, you know, that's not right. It's not right. And why did it happen? Because those people can be exploited. They can be paid, or in lots of instances, not even paid. They can put in a day, a week of work, and nothing happens to them when they don't get paid. The employers are gone. They're not in, you know, the laws are not enforced. They can be in very dangerous, unsafe working conditions. So my response is, if we legalize and have a path to citizenship that begins to break down the difference between undocumented, exploitable workers and everybody else, it will be good for everybody. It will be good for the people who are here, they're citizens, they want those jobs too, and now they can compete because you won't be able to do it under the table, so to speak.